Okay, so we have arrived at our hotel here at London, and we have gotten a little bit of culture shock, but not what we expected to get culture shock from. We're not in Kansas anymore, babe. We're in London. Between London and the States. Actually, most recently, I just realized how electricity works at hotels in London. So in order for you to have electricity in your room, you actually have to insert your card into this little slot at the entrance to get your lights to come on, which is kind of wild. But that was a very embarrassing talk with the front lady. But now we're just going to settle in, unpack, and then we'll check in later once we figure out what our plans are for the rest of the day.
If you're planning a trip to London and you are going to be landing at the Heathrow Airport, the easiest way to get from the airport to the center of London is using public transportation. And there are signs everywhere as soon as you get to London on how to get down to the subways. We ended up taking the Piccadilly line all the way to the Green Line. It was a very seamless transition. It's also very affordable. I think it's only like a couple pounds per person to travel on the subway. And so the public transportation is going to be your most affordable option. It took us about an hour to get from the Heathrow Airport to downtown London. Once we got to downtown London, we noticed that the city is a very walkable city, so we actually didn't have to use any other form of transportation such as taxis or Ubers. We actually didn't even have to use bikes. It wasn't that far of a distance from where our hotel was. It was centrally located, so we had access to all of the places that we wanted to see within a walkable distance. Since we arrived before check-in, we did have to walk around for a bit, and I have to say we felt pretty safe the entire time we were there. I would say London is a very safe city. You hear a lot of bad things on the news, but overall I think the sense of safety for us was there the whole time. The hotel we stayed at was the Mercure Hotel, which is a French boutique hotel, and it's located at the London Tower. We chose this hotel because it was centrally located to all the different places we wanted to go sightseeing, and I would say the location of this hotel was definitely ideal. So if you're planning on doing a lot of touristy picture taking, this hotel would be a really great choice. There were a few differences between this hotel and what you would see at a typical American hotel. Obviously the outlets were European, so we did have to bring an adapter. There was also the issue of electricity. In order for electricity to run to your room, you have to use your key card so that you can actually turn on your lights. But overall, it was a really comfortable room and it was a really good place to stay.
Okay, so Andrew and I actually had major jet lag, so we decided to take a nap. But we realized we haven't ate anything since we got off the airplane and we're just starving, so we decided we're gonna go find food. It's actually kind of hard to find food here. We went to a couple pubs because we wanted a traditional English breakfast and their kitchen wasn't open, and then the cafes just sell like pastries. So we want a hearty, wholesome meal with protein in it. So we're gonna go out and look for it now. It's 2:30 here. We're 5 hours ahead of the States, but we're starving and we're on our way to find food. You ready, babe?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm starving.
Yeah, he's been starving the whole day. I've just been tired, but he has been starving. All right, let's go.
On our walk to find food, we did find a few interesting things. For example, they have free payphones throughout that you can use, which was pretty interesting because we haven't seen a payphone in the States in a really long time. And also, they have defibrillator stations. So if someone's having a heart attack, you have access to a defibrillator at any given time to be able to assist. So those were two things that I thought were really interesting. We found a place to eat about a couple blocks from our hotel. It was a pub, which most of the restaurants are, and we decided to order sandwiches and fries, and then we did try their cider beer, which was pretty good, I would say. One thing about the food is I think that the food is generally higher quality. One thing I noticed is that after eating a big meal here in the States, I normally feel sluggish and tired. I noticed that after eating my meal in London, I actually felt energized rather than tired and in a food coma. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and I think that's our body's way of letting us know when something is a little bit higher quality and something is just a little too processed.
We just got done eating. What'd you think of the meal?
Oh, it was good. That burger was tasty.
The food tastes a lot better here. I can't explain how. It just tastes really good. I think it's just the higher quality food. But now we're on our way to the market.
On our way to the market, I noticed that something felt familiar about the structures, and then I realized it's because they look like row houses and they remind me a lot of the row houses in Charleston. So it was a very familiar feeling and I really liked it. Also, the shops are so cute. They have displays and then they have these little alleyways which are also really cute and really scenic. So I thought it was a really cool thing. We were really excited to check out the Borough Market because all of our travel videos that we were looking in advance of going to the UK were about how amazing the Borough Market is. And I have to say, it definitely lived up to the expectations. It is so adorably decorated with Christmas. It is almost Christmas time. We went in November and all the little stalls are just adorable and unique and just really well set up. And I didn't want to leave. And unfortunately, we also couldn't purchase too much here because our suitcases were tiny. We only had a carry-on since we were here on a work trip. And so it was kind of sad that we couldn't buy as much as we wanted to. But overall, they had really high quality items. They had pastries. They even had regular just fresh fruit stalls and fresh veggie stalls. They had a lot of wine. And then we came across this paella station and it smelled amazing. Unfortunately, we didn't get to try any of the food at the Borough Market because we had just eaten, which was really sad. I really wish we had waited. But at the same time, it was really cool to still be able to experience all the stalls and take a look around. And if you're trying to convince your husband to go to London, this is probably the portion of the video you want to show him because this is the part that my husband was most mesmerized with. The dry-aged meat.
Andrew hasn't took a picture of me on this entire vacation, but look what he's taking a picture of.
There's dry-aging meat in front of you.
Dry-aged meat. That's what he's choosing to take a picture of.
We did try a few cafes while there, and one of the things we noticed is that most of the cafes are set up with a kiosk where you order and you pay and then they just call your name, so you don't actually have to walk up to a cashier and order. And also it was kind of funny to see a KFC. I wasn't expecting it as we hadn't seen any American fast food companies while we were there, and it was kind of nice. It made us feel a little bit less homesick. Now, when it comes to the pastries themselves, they're all very, very tasty and delicious, but what stood out to me the most is the lack of over sweetness. Everything was just the perfect amount of sweet. It wasn't too sweet, too sugary, too overwhelmingly just full of high fructose corn syrup. So that was one of the things that I really appreciated, especially as someone who's very mindful of her health. Now, one tip I will give you that will make your trip to London just exponentially better is you want to be an early riser. London is an incredibly touristy city and all the tourist attractions will get very crowded. So we actually woke up at 4 in the morning. We got a little bit of breakfast and we started our journey at around 6:37 a.m. and all the streets were empty. We were able to film throughout. We were able to walk comfortably. We were able to stop and take pictures without feeling like we were causing congestion. So I highly suggest that you wake up as early as possible so that you can explore the city and not run into those massive crowds from all the rest of the tourists that'll start coming out around noon. I would say the window that you want to capitalize on is probably between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Now, if you decide to take me up on this tip, you will notice that most of the shops and stores are closed. However, by the time you get done exploring and taking pictures, it should be around noon and everything should be open by then. So no worries there. One thing I found very interesting is that while bowling is very, very popular in the States, in the UK, curling is very popular. So they have curling stations all throughout the Riverwalk that you can just walk in, and it's actually very family friendly. We saw a lot of kids participating, and so I thought it was a really cool thing to share.
You take the gym? All right, guys, here's the gym. It's just the stairs. No, it says on there that the stairs are the gym. I kind of like it. So we're going to the London Bridge, but we actually found out something. The London Bridge is not that one that you see in pictures. The London Bridge is actually that bridge right there. What is that one called?
Pier, London Pier.
So we're going, the one that you guys see on TV, it's the London Pier, which is that one right there. So when you come here, don't go to the London Bridge, go to the London Pier because they're two different bridges.
I also want to give some insight on the weather. It is significantly colder in the UK than it is in the US by about 20 degrees. When we got there, it was 40 degrees and we were freezing. So pack a big jacket if you're going because it's going to be cold. One thing that really stood out to me was the fact that anywhere you go to eat, whether it's a cafe or a restaurant, everyone will ask you if you have any allergies. And as someone who has a family member that does have allergies, it really meant a lot to me that they go above and beyond when figuring out if you have an allergy to make sure that they're not feeding you something that could potentially harm you. Another thing that really stood out to me was when we got to the public transportation, it was very quiet. There was not a lot of noise. So people aren't going to be on speaker talking to their relatives, or they won't be playing any music. And we came to find out that it's because they have ordinances against something called busking. Now, busking means, I guess, being loud or boisterous in public. And so because they have these laws in most areas, especially most public areas, it's generally going to be pretty quiet. Also, the public transportation is right out of a James Bond movie. You see those cute little taxis, those double-decker buses. So you kind of feel like you are in a James Bond movie, which I thought was really cool. Overall, London is a very friendly place. They welcomed us with open arms, and we definitely plan on coming back, especially with our daughters now that we know that it's a pretty safe place to go with children. I may have not covered everything that you may need an answer to, so if you have any additional questions that I could potentially help with if you're planning a trip to London, please leave them in the comments, and I will definitely help you with that, as I love to help other travelers because I know that I need the help as well when I'm planning to travel. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Happy travels!